Deepseek came as a shocker. The US is now grappling to fully understand the implications of this new, cheaper, powerful artificial intelligence model that has been put out by this Chinese company, barely 2 years old. ASEAN is also going to face a dilemma. Curious? Stay on and watch till the end. Why is the debut of this DeepSeek important? AI has been basically dominated by the United States. Its companies have invested into developing the artificial intelligence model such as ChatGPT, OpenAI that we are all using today. DeepSeek, however, was able to release another model of artificial intelligence, equally powerful according to the experts who have reviewed this model. But guess what? It was less than $6 million to produce. And worse, China has released it as an open source. As compared to AI, GPT, OpenAI, they are closed, which means to say that they belong to the companies that manufactured or produced those codes. Now, with the Chinese model, it is open to anyone to download, use, modify, replicate, and develop into different forms. Now, the implications of this was fully understood by the stock market. The magnificent seven tech stocks in the US stock market lost close to $1 trillion in valuation. The market has now fully understood that there is no longer going to be this huge need for investment for artificial intelligence. It's going to be cheap, it's going to be plentiful, and therefore there's going to be a huge amount of competition. This is what they call in economics disruption. Just like Uber disrupted the taxi industries, Airbnb disrupted the hotel industries. Now, the Chinese company DeepSeek has disrupted the AI industry. What was a unipolar AI world now has started to become a multipolar AI world. Not just it is disruptive to the economics of it, but it is equally disruptive to the geopolitics of it. And that is also the reason why ASEAN is going to face a serious dilemma. Artificial intelligence is now widely applied in the economy, from R&D, innovation, manufacturing, packaging, distribution, and other parts of the economic side of even in agriculture. Artificial intelligence is used widely. So therefore, there's no country today that can ignore AI in its economy. Let me give you a few numbers just to situate this whole thing in your mind. By 2030, AI is expected to contribute something like $15.7 to $16 trillion worth of the global GDP. And that's just 5 years down the road. In ASEAN, digital economy as a whole is expected to surpass $1 trillion. Again, few short years down the road by 2030. And I read somewhere that the adoption of AI by the ASEAN countries could contribute something like 10 to 18% to its GDP in the next few years. So AI therefore is very, very important. And what is now a problem is that ASEAN now has been put in a position where it now has to take note of the Chinese capability as well. As I said all along, we have been used to the fact that America was a leader, and therefore our needs for AI were largely dependent on the American side. And America too had its own laws, various policies and regulations to make sure that this technology will not fall into the Chinese hands, or countries will not have huge access to these chips. For example, there were all sorts of quotas and things of that sort. Now, China has made this production of AI so cheap that basically, it has broken this monopoly that America had, and this is now an issue because ASEAN cannot ignore the fact that there is cheaper source of AI coming from China. It has to adopt this because otherwise it would make no sense. Why should it rely entirely on an expensive source when there is something cheaper that it can use? However, the problem here is that that is going to put ASEAN even more directly into this competition between the US and China. And I think we can expect this competition to become even more intense now that China has now openly thrown the gauntlet, as you will, in this battle. So ASEAN will have to find a way now to sort of, find the best way to deal with this whole situation. And here is where three dilemmas arises. The first dilemma, as I've just told you, is the geopolitics of it. We are going to be caught in this crossfire between America and China. America is certainly going to discourage countries, perhaps even put pressures on them to not use the Chinese AI capability. But as I have pointed out to you, something that is now cheap, openly out there for everyone to use, I think is going to be hard for us not to say no. But the geopolitics of it is something that ASEAN will have to grapple with. The second dilemma is an even more serious dilemma, and that is for countries like Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, and others, which have spent or invested heavily in this chip production industries to attract these companies coming out of Taiwan and China to relocate in our part of the world. As a result of these restrictions put on by America, controlling this powerful chip manufacturing. Malaysia, for example, now is one of the biggest suppliers of these chips. And as I have mentioned in my videos earlier, Malaysia is enjoying a second go at becoming a global leader in this part of the global economy. Now, with AI having been made so cheap, the questions that will be asked by many of these chip manufacturing companies is that whether there's such a need to produce or invest a lot more in producing these kind of chips. So countries like Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, and all those who are enjoying currently this inflow of investment in this area will have to sit back and think about it. Secondly is this investment in data centers. Again, the same questions are going to be asked. Do we need these huge data centers? So there are real serious questions that has to be asked because for many countries, all these have now been factored into their projections of economic growth into the future. The third dilemma now would be the issue of cybersecurity, transparency, safety, and data and all these kind of things. So I think you know where I'm going. ASEAN simply cannot sit idle. Currently, it has a plan for this ASEAN digital economy. But today, there is now an urgent need to have a plan for AI as well. ASEAN will have to have a way of first being able to make use of these options that it has now insofar as AI is concerned without unduly getting into the crossfires between America and Chinese competition. Number two, it has to have this plan so that it can also protect its own investments as it looks forward as a landscape as so far as the chip industry and the AI industry and manufacturing industries are set to change. And number three, it also has to have a way of perhaps addressing AI collectively as a region. Perhaps it needs to find ways to work with the US and China and others to come to some sort of new, framework, AI framework that would be advantageous for everyone. These are some of those ideas that I think ASEAN will have to start thinking about. And the point I want to make is that it doesn't have a whole lot of time. It has to now grapple with this very quickly and to find out how it can strategize and position itself in this now evolving AI multipolarity.